Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of PCQuest Health Tech Talks. We started this in October, and since then, this has been a monthly affair. Now, it's been quite interesting. We live in quite exciting times. So, the last 2 years, though it has been a terrible tragedy for everyone, but as I keep saying, hats off to the entire healthcare industry for the doctors, nurses, hospitals, and also all allied startups and technologies which stood up. So I think it appears that the pandemic has become the endemic. And I think I would like to believe that we are in a much better position in 2022 than we were in 2019. So I feel that our healthcare has received a good tech upgrade. And I think we are on the path for universal health tech care. And every month we have been trying to take up various aspects of what the government can do, what AI can do. And this month we are focusing on cancer, specifically how tech is changing the fight against cancer. So this is a very important and interesting topic, and for that we have a star-studded panel with us. So first I'd like to invite Adarsh Natarajan, founder and CEO of AIndra Systems. Welcome, Adarsh.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunil.
Yeah. Next we have Dr. Jyotirmayee Dash, founder and CEO of TeraLumen Solutions. Welcome, Dr.
Hi,
Jyotir.
Sunil. Hi,
Yeah.
Sunil.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah. Great to have you. Then we have with us Ashwin Rathod, co-founder and co-CEO of OncoCoin. Welcome, Ashwin.
Thank you so much, Sunil, for the opportunity. Hello, everyone.
And last but not least, we have Dr. Savitha, BA, Lab Director, OncoStem Diagnostics. Welcome, Dr. Savitha.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to a great session.
Yeah. So I think now that we have introduced the topic and we have introduced our panelists, I'll get straight to it. So, as I said, like these 2 years have seen a tremendous change, and we'd like to focus on the positives. So, how much has the pandemic induced technological changes helped Indian healthcare in the last couple of years? Are we finally on the road to universal health tech care? So, basically, before moving on to cancer, I'd just like to hear the health tech scene in the last 2 years. So again, anyone can go first.
Uh, can I?
Sure, sure, please.
I think pandemic has brought in many important changes to the way healthcare works and delivers in India. Technology has played a great role with mobile literally bringing that to our pockets. And whether it's epidemiological surveillance, rapid case identification, or targeted public communication, mapping of resources, all these things played a big role in the pandemic so far. And I see them playing a greater role even in the future. I think Arogya Setu app, COVID, all these things made a big difference. I think COVID itself, it helped drive one of the most successful vaccination campaigns of all times. Whether it is registration, immunizations, appointments, or getting the vaccine certificates, everything was mediated through the app, and it catered to a huge population. So, and also I think the popularity of Indian vaccination program, many other countries are also adopting it. Other areas also technology helped in a big way. I think delivery of point of care, whether it's testing or say containment zones, to delivery of materials, all these things. There was a big thing, and also a lot of and I think the one very big area was private and public sector working in tandem. So collaborative working with private sector pitching in, whether it was with testing or provision of isolation beds, manpower, equipment for everything. Remote healthcare, I think, played a great role. And from the sidelines, which it has been for the many years now, I think it's come to the forefront. And this really is, I think it promises to help bridge the, urban and rural divide in India. We have a concentration of doctors in the urban and patients in the rural. So this remote healthcare is very promising in this area. Also, I think universal healthcare. I think with Ayushman Bharat, I think we have a lot of hope, and I think that's a step in the right direction. whether it is PMJ with, insurance to the poorest of poor, 40% of the poorest population getting coverage, and National Digital Health Mission. If we are able to integrate all the, data coming from National Health Mission and PMJ, this would really help us achieve the dream of universal healthcare. I think that's the way to do it.
Okay.
So I would like to add to Dr. Savitha.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, as rightly she said, yeah, India has made significant changes. Like currently, due to technology, mainly adopting new technology, and we Indian people are very good, very fast at adopting technology. Like mobile, you say computer. Even kids are also playing with computers so well. So we are very good at it. Even the healthcare system, complete India healthcare systems, as she said, Arogya AI, it has been done significant improvement for the COVID management. So there are few things like online consultation. During COVID, the doctors have played very good role at managing the complete COVID crisis. So the patients are nicely, they have online consultation they have done, and they got the at healthcare that come to home and they will take point of care services, everything. So yeah, India has done significant changes. There are few things like insurance policies people have adopted well, and tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities, the medical management system, the private hospitals, they have expanded nicely in the private healthcare cities. So few are the like the other policies like health for all, Ayushman Bharat. So these are the things which online consultation, these are the things which nicely improvement has been done due to this crisis. So crisis has really taught us how to manage without going to hospital, without meeting to doctors. So these are the improvements which significant change has been seen during recently. Yeah.
Sure thing. If I may,
Sure, sure, Ashwin, go ahead.
what I see is a revolution in making, to be honest, and the government policies towards healthcare inclusion have been dramatically, you know, tech focused these days. The whole idea of having a health UID to bring in every remote village and a person there who needs healthcare into the net of government policies, I think, is a masterstroke. The idea of ABHA and growing it to ICA, structuring all the documents which are currently, in silos, unstructured. A lot of them are written text, prescriptions, or be it anything else. And this paves way for a lot of opportunities for startups like us and everyone here. I think, given the pandemic situation, I think it has taught us Indians again to take the short front foot rather than just watching it from the sidelines. And we Indians typically take challenges really well. This is just another example where I see even the developed economies faltered a lot, but India came out really well in a very efficient way. And I think that's a really an attribute of tech. And like rightly said by Jyotirmayee and Savitha ji, the tech adoption in India is fascinating. I mean, starting from kids or to the elderly, the smartphone and the smartphone revolution, as we call it. I think India is a playground for such startups also. I think there is a lot more coming up. I think this is just the tip, just the starting.
Yeah. So, if I may add,
Sure.
some bit to already wonderful points covered by all the speakers before me. I think what the pandemic has done is actually shown a torchlight to the state of Indian healthcare, right? And we've seen those the ugly pimples, the stark differences or in terms of how healthcare is available across the quality of healthcare. So while that has actually shown a light to the state of affairs in healthcare, and therefore brought in a kind of realization that over the last many decades, we've been systematically underinvesting in the healthcare, not just in infrastructure, but also in terms of the entire spectrum, right? In terms of skill sets availability, infrastructure, healthcare facilities to be made available across the geography. So I think that systematic underinvestment has actually resulted in a realization today that this pandemic has given an opportunity for us to kind of realize where we are and therefore look at the future in a much more deterministic way, much more focused manner. And I think that's, if you may ask, is a silver lining of the entire thing. So we see a profusion of technologies coming through every other day, which is now all talking about making universal healthcare at more affordable points, because I think the realization is that that is where we have failed. Not just India as such, but mostly the world has failed to kind of make healthcare universally accessible at very affordable points. And I think that is, to me, is a silver lining. And of course, Sunil, we will go into more detail as we go on, I'm sure. But I think these are at the top of my head, the one thing that I think has dramatically changed the mindset of the population and the policy making bodies as well. You're on mute, Sunil.
So anyway, I'd like to thank all the panelists that you have summed it up very well. Like Dr. Savitha, she summed up. I think she mentioned everything at the beginning. Dr. Jyotirmayee pointed out how good adopters we are. Others said the torchlight is showing the way, and Ashwin says we are playing on the front foot. So I think combine that together, I think we have done a great job, and I am very hopeful for the next 5-10 years. And I'm sure if I pray there's never a pandemic like this, but if and when it happens, I don't think we'll be caught off guard then. So anyway, so I'll come to the topic of the day. So basically, cancer. Like cancer is one of the biggest killers in the world. I mean, I looked at the WHO statistics. I mean, we crossed like 10 million plus ages ago. And also, like during COVID, lung cancer is a big issue. So, what would you say about India's battle against cancer? Has technology helped on this front, like the other things all four of you mentioned? If yes, then how? And if not, then what can we do to make sure that tech plays a great role in cancer solutions too?
So
I'll go about it.
Okay, fine,
Yes.
Dr. Joe.
Thank you. So yes, cancer, because we all are cancer startups, so we know how what cancer is and how we are playing a big role into that. So we are master in this. Before starting, okay, I'll tell you the number of cancer cases exactly. It's too high now. Even 2022 ICMR cases is more than 14 million cases, 14 lakhs cases. So it is really huge. For breast cancer for women, it's the highest cancer cases. Oral cancer for men, number of cancer cases is significantly high. So the main reason is due to our change in lifestyle. We say our food habit. We have changed our food habit to the junk foods, and the pollution level. So the cases are really very high, and now it's out of control. So the silver lining in this is mainly the technological advancement. So the startups we are working, even the government is supporting the startups like this, deep tech startups or artificial intelligence enabled startups. So AI and deep tech technology devices, these are helping really not only from the screening, mainly to the diagnosis also, and for the treatment also. I think Dr. Savitha, she is doing a like startup where they are giving radiation or chemotherapy depending on the risk of the device, like the low risk or high risk breast cancer patients, if I am right. So
Yeah.
there are like few other startups. Onco is a startup who is connecting the patients to the doctors. So social media. I am TeraLumen. We are developing a device which will help the doctors to diagnostic much faster. So there are like Niramay is doing a thermal based imaging, which will do AI based early screening for the breast cancer. So not only that, so many cancer startups have devices as well as AI enabled. There are some AI startups who are doing the radiation, like from the radiation map, they can see which is the most suspicious region. Or histopathology slides, masking of histopathology slides. So we are trying to help to the oncosurgeons, the doctors, and the pathologists so that it can be done more accurately, more rapidly, as quickly as possible, so that doctors can attend more number of patients. Pathologists can do the analysis much quicker, so we can attend more number of patients. And so these are the few areas, screening, diagnostics, where we are really playing a bigger role. And we hope so many companies will come forward. Thank you. Over to you.
Uh, Can I
Yeah, please.
take
Please, Dr.
I,
Savitha.
I think ladies first for this panel.
Of course.
sorry for that.
No, it's
But
okay.
No,
Please
no.
go ahead.
area which from which I'm also a doctor. So this is an area close to my heart. So I'm not able to stay off any longer. So I definitely agree. I think India the problem, of course, cancer statistics already Dr. Jyotirmayee spoke. We have tremendous cancer burden. I think the problems specifically are the problem of disparate patient and doctor ratio, and also I think the problem of late cancer detection because of lack of awareness. These are the I think the key problems in Indian setup. Conventional diagnostic modalities and treatment modalities, whether it's MRI, PET CT, pathological workup, including whatever the conventional, what is IHC, flow cytometry, cytogenetics, all this itself, they are available only at tertiary level. There is a gross lack of basic oncology facilities at the grassroots levels. This leads to overcrowding of all the tertiary care centers. Technology, I think, especially remote care, the popularity and the advent of personalized treatment, and many of these resource management related technologies, I think they will play a great role. How they will help is they will actually allow the patients who need in-person care only to visit the actual oncology setups or the tertiary care centers, and they'll help us ease the burden of manpower in those places and help doctors do a better job. And also, I think what can be done, I think UHI, Unified Health Interface, I think I see a lot of promise in that. Once that is out in the open and it's available for everybody, everybody start actively using it. I think that availability of digital health records will allow seamless treatment of patients across centers, and they'll also help us cut costs in a large way. The cancer treatment remains one of the most expensive things that happens in any patient's life. It's literally just out of their budget. And EMR, I think EMR is something that would not only change the way how treatment is given to patients and how the healthcare providers work. I think EMR, just because of the diverse Indian population, they're literally sitting on a data treasure. If all that comes together, it will help innovators like us to tap into that data potential and come with India-specific solutions. And also, we can also, use this data and do clinical trials, and evidence of clinical utility can be, worked up in much better way. I think that remains one of the biggest problems for Indian innovators. Definitely, technology is the key to holding, to cost cutting. That is what I think India has one advantage. It's a tech giant. Healthcare should benefit from this, and we should be able to give more affordable solutions. Whether AI-based solutions help us in giving more affordable, personalized treatments, all that is going to be the way ahead. That's what I think.
Go ahead,
If I
Ashwin.
may.
Yeah, Ashwin.
When we talk about tech and when we talk about fight against cancer, to be honest, a lot has happened in just a few years, and including the time of pandemic. Okay, and what I believe, to be honest, is it all starts with providing right information which is accurate, unbiased, and most importantly, comprehensive. Information that starts even before the onset of the cancer, during, and also after the cancer has been treated completely. Three most important things when a person or your relative, usually after a diagnosis of a cancer, looks after is, well, what are the kind of treatment options available? Who are the experts in the very specific type of cancer I have been diagnosed with? And the third most important thing is, are there any cutting edge research happening near me? Something that I can participate in. Beyond that, it's also an effort in making this as a community kind of an effort. I believe that there is, of course, there are broken chunks of cancer communities, not just in India, but also across the world. Centralizing them and bringing them under one umbrella is the need today, because that's how information sharing works. And if there could be a startup that could secure, that could encrypt, or that could also, most importantly, anonymize a patient's health record, this health record is a gold mine sitting there. And the research is craving for this since ages, to be honest. It's a chicken and egg problem, to be honest, because the research can't get the data. The patients are not willing to share the data. It's so personal, it's so sensitive. This is a problem not just in the developed countries where you have the GDPRs and the regulations. It also happens in my country. It happens to a level that people don't even speak to their family members. To make them aware is the first thing. For the youngsters, for the teenagers, and before that, people in the school, I would say, preventive care is the best way to do this. I mean, we believe that 1 in 10 people in India uh, will contact cancer over the lifetime. Now, if that is the kind of stat, then this has to, the only solution until the time a solid cure comes up into the market is to make them aware, to make them aware about the lifestyle, to make them aware about the food habits, to make them aware about the hazards of tobacco, and working towards a greener environment overall as a community would certainly take us the long way. So, and there is a wealth of information sitting there where patients in my country could actually license this thing and license their data, which could help bring out a cure faster, and also take the credit to use it in their therapy, in their lab test. So a need of a global healthcare ecosystem is a must today, as in we are looking at the world heading towards it, but nonetheless it's a difficult utopian concept still, because people don't collaborate, people don't coordinate, and this is all kinds of stakeholders. I believe solutions based on AI and blockchain certainly will break this loop of chicken and egg. This is where I'm looking at. This is where we are headed towards in the next 2, 3 years, not even a decade far, but next 2, 3 years, I see a lot of amazing startups coming in this domain. AI for document processing, to understand a waveform, to understand an image, it's going a long way. Tracking symptoms, tracking medical treatment adherence, tracking your exercise regimen, diet. These are some things that have revolutionized the way a person conducts a lifestyle. Certainly also helping towards preventive care options of cancer. I mean, we have come quite far, both in research and drug discovery, but there is still a lot of hope. In the just immediate 2, 3 years, you will see a revolution, an ecosystem coming up very soon.
Yeah, if I may.
Adarsh, yeah, you can complete this round. Yeah.
Sure. So I think there were a couple of very important points that came by. One was, I think, some of the statistics that indicate, and I think Ashwin made a good point about it, or alluded to it. Right? There was a research by Cancer Research UK, and they put out some extremely disturbing statistics, and I kind of quoted this a couple of times as well earlier, that by 2050, their model predicts that 1 in 2 people will have some form of cancer. And we are what, about 20, 22, 28 years away from that point. And I think it's an extremely disturbing statistic, something that, the world has to take note of and do all that is possible for us to, ensure that that does not actually become a reality. Right? Well, that's one thing that happened. Unfortunately, the pandemic, at least in the sphere that I have seen, has kind of pushed to the background some of this focus on cancers, right? I mean, all the some of the elective procedures that needed to be taken was all pushed out because of the fear of the pandemic. The first 2 waves was terrible in terms of the mental health also of people and their preparedness for that. And so it kind of, a lot of focus went away from extremely serious conditions like cancer, and again on to another serious pandemic that we were in, right? So therefore, I believe we've lost a couple of few years because of the pandemic in our entire journey of cancer research, cancer detections, cancer management, if you may put it like that, right? So I think it's time for us to pick up the threads where we left off and then kind of accelerate it. And this goes back to my earlier point that because there's so much of a focus on healthcare as a whole, and specifically in terms of having a distributed mode of healthcare rather than a centralized mode of healthcare, I think now we're at the point where both the focus on healthcare has returned with quite a bit of vengeance, and focus on cancer is now should be picking up as well. So therefore, it's a very good point in time for all the ecosystem related to cancer to kind of pick up the threads and start accelerating from where we are right now, right? And some of these statistics still are, when you talk about statistics specific to India, I'm sure breast cancer is one of the biggest killers for women in India, right? Closely followed by cervical cancer, which is the area that one of the areas that we work in. One woman dying every 7 minutes in India because of cervical cancer is a shame, right? I mean, you're losing women purely for the factor that they are not aware, right? And this again goes back to Ashwin's point that making people aware, making people sensitized to the importance of preventive healthcare will go a large distance in trying to manage this disease much more effectively. One other statistic, Sunil, that I'd like to throw, right, which actually points to the importance of early detection or preventive healthcare, is the fact that unfortunately in India, the incidence to the mortality rate, what that means is once a cancer is detected to the unfortunately the patient passing away because of this cancer, is about 50%, meaning that it's straight away indicating to lack of awareness or lack of focus in preventive healthcare. People going in for their tests very late in the disease cycle, therefore their survival rates dropping dramatically. All of this pointing to the fact that we have to look at preventive healthcare in a much, much, much more important manner rather than only focusing on the treatment part, right? But the treatment part is always a losing battle, if you ask me, especially when it comes to cancer after it has progressed to a certain stage. So it's always a expensive, costly, losing battle, right? Families are devastated financially, psychologically, and the only way I would believe is to kind of make preventive healthcare, specifically with respect to cancer, uh, available at every nook and corner of the geography. And this is where technology is going to play the role of a force multiplier, something that will make it extremely easy, accessible, affordable to every corner of the world, of course, and therefore play a huge part in actually managing cancer as we know it. And I'll leave it at that, and we'll move to the next point.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So anyway, I guess that's quite interesting. It was pretty comprehensive. So I guess, preventive measures, early detection, speed, costs, getting the right information, unifying it, centralization. I think technology will go a great deal in enabling all that. And also, like you talked of specific technologies, image analysis and tracking, EMRs, AI, data analytics. It'd be quite interesting to see what strides are made in these particular domains. So like I think I'll now narrow it down even further. What specific solutions have you come out in this field? If you could just talk about what you're doing, and maybe if you want we can start with Ashwin and Adarsh in this round. Let's reverse the order a bit if you're
Yes.
okay with
Adarsh, you are my senior from I am Bangalore. You, sir, please.
Sure. So let's reverse the order all over, right? Okay. So what we do, Sunil, is going according to, essentially, Ashwin made a point about this, right? So we are using AI and other convergent technologies specifically to in the field of pathology. So we are terming that as computational pathology, and where we are actually using convergent technologies of mechatronics, optics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud. A lot of all of these technologies coming together seamlessly. We've created a full stack solution comprising of both hardware and software components that enables us to take testing of these kind of critical conditions to the point of care rather than actually only limiting them to a centralized healthcare system. Because we believe, as I mentioned earlier on, in actually disaggregating the existing centralized healthcare model and making it available in a much more equitable manner. Right? And that is our belief that this is going to go a long way in actually bringing out health outcomes. So for this is where we've actually focused on creating point of care solutions centered on computational pathology. Now, pathology, just a quick introduction, is about how biological samples are taken from the patient and analyzed under a microscope for any irregularities, any abnormalities that it can show. So what we've done is we've automated this entire process of analyzing that biological sample by converting it to a digital form through our scanners, and our AI actually analyzes those images by also taking in clinical data, and then it synthesizes all of these various data points to give out what could be the diagnosis for the patient. So that, in a nutshell, Sunil, is what we do at AIndra Systems. Thank you.
So,
Over to
if I
you.
may, yeah. In terms of bringing out a solution, it was always a three-step strategy in which we work. First is, of course, build an awesome product which gives this life-critical, life-saving information and a place where people can communicate anonymously. When I say information, it was about treatment, the experts, and the clinical trial and research happening around us. This we do for free. Second step is, of course, to build the community around it. This community is again fueled with the kind of information we're sharing around. Talking about information, we leverage AI at every step, starting from uh, crawling a web page, deciding to crawl the web page or not, by the way, on a period of time, and then crawling about billions of web pages in a day, building a knowledge graph, which is self-growing, and of course, this is it's a difficult problem to solve, to be honest, because it's not natural language processing in English. If you bring a Shakespeare to read a biomedical paper, I mean, poor guy wouldn't be able to. So I'm putting it in a funny note, but it's a complex, way more complex problem when you're looking at natural language processing in a life science domain. And there we are claiming to have the largest knowledge graph, which structures this information. And then it's super easy to scale to many disorders, almost all types of cancers, all kinds of therapeutic area, to be honest. Cancer as such, again, is a genetic disorder between two people, just the same cancer and same stage they are going through. It would be worlds apart. It is a genetic disorder, and in there, we look at solving this problem by bringing in novel biomarkers. We took up the challenge to take on heads on one of the toughest cancer, pancreatic cancer, and Steve Jobs, Manohar Parikar, a lot many people, legends, have fallen to it. And today we stand at the cusp where we also have an approval from ethics committee in Frankfurt, and we plan to launch a liquid biopsy study for generating novel biomarkers for pancreatic cancer. Of course, God willing, we will expand it and scale it to other types of cancer as well. But this is purely through AI, a completely new thing that's being put to test. Apart from info, apart from AI being used for biomarker detection, novel biomarker detection, we also work in the domain of generating novel therapies using AI. Given genetic data or a whole genome sequence of a patient, what can you tell about it? How accurate should be your treatment therapy? Today we see custom medicine, custom mRNA therapies being designed for genetic disorders, including cancer, of course. And this is the way. This is the way even we foresee the future also going there. Apart from this, the mother, the root of all of this research and solutions that we are going to foresee in the future lies the patient data. If we could secure it, if we could anonymize it, and of course give the benefits of this data directly to the patients, then I think we have come a really, really long way. Right now, data resides in silos. Everyone has their own EMR. They don't cooperate or coordinate with each other. There are a lot of problems there in terms of data not being structured. Even some of the biggest cancer research institutes in our country still have the data. When they say digitized, it's like a scan. I mean, nothing else. What do you take out of a scan and compress and analyze and bring it out? That is where I foresee a lot of future work going to happen. And this, I would not call it remuneration, but due credit of this data, because the patient owns this data. The patient should be the heart of the solution. And then all kinds of stakeholders, be it hospital, medtech devices, laboratories, inventors, researchers, pharma, CRO, you call it, they should be around trying to make this work. That's where I think blockchain-based healthcare systems are coming up very soon, including the government adopting it, of course. That was a master stroke from Narendra Modi ji. Yeah.
So who'll go next? Who's
Yeah, Dr. Savitha, you can go ahead.
Would you like me to go next?
Sure.
I think this is very interesting because I think what we do exactly at OncoStem Diagnostics is we started as in 2011. We were founded by Dr. Manjari Bakre, who's a cell biologist, and she has past experience in this area. So we have been working for over a decade in oncology, and especially in the area of breast cancer. As we have already acknowledged, like Jyotirmayee also said, and everybody has said, breast cancer remains one of the most frequently diagnosed cancers in women, and also one of the leading causes of death, not just in India but worldwide. So, and also in India, the patients who present, they are different in the way that they present much earlier at onset, almost a decade earlier than the Western counterparts. Also, they present with higher tumor stage, more cases with more positivity. However, even in these scenarios, not all patients benefit from chemotherapy. It's only the 10 to 15% of the patients who eventually benefit from chemotherapy. But the mindset is to generally to give chemotherapy to everybody. So this chemotherapy itself, not just quality of life, there's infection, there's cost, there's so many things which comes with the fact that you're giving chemotherapy. So in West, actually, the multi-gene tests have been available for quite some time. They have good acceptance also. They are included in their national guidelines. However, ICMR does not include this in the Indian treatment guidelines just because of the lack of validation data. So there was this one area of unmet need recognized, which is basically to develop a prognostic test, which is validated in the Indian population, and also it is at affordable cost, and it helps us to give timely treatment in this narrow treatment window in breast cancer patients. So to meet this need, Canis's breast was developed, and Canis's breast is a IHC based test. This basically is specifically designed for hormone receptor positive, HER2 negative early breast cancer. This is the this is around 70% of breast carcinomas could be in this. So the numbers are huge. So this basically works on biomarkers. These are non-proliferative biomarkers, novel biomarkers, which are important, which play important role in cancer signaling pathways. These biomarkers that we use in Canis's breast are CD44, ABCC4, ABCC11, PAN, and NCADRI. These are integrated along with some clinical, data like tumor grade, tumor size, and node status. And these are put into a novel, AI machine learning based algorithm, which helps us derive a score. The score is from 0 to 100, and it helps us to, classify these patients into high risk or low risk of distance recurrence. So basically what it means is patients who are at high risk of recurrence are the patients who would benefit from chemotherapy, and the patients who are low risk, they will do well with endocrine therapy alone. So and of course, Canisys has gone through analytical and clinical validation. We have publications in many peer-reviewed journals. And to assure quality and regulatory compliance, we have accreditation with College of American Pathologists. We have NABL. We have ISO 13485 certified, and also we have CE IVD. And though this test was developed in Indian population, validated in Indian population, we have tried to take this test to different populations. This has been tested and validated on European population in Caucasian cohort, and it has shown equivalent performance. Our negative predictive value, that is, if our test calls somebody as low risk, and they are treated like low risk, that is treated with endocrine therapy alone. And subsequently, how do they do? So this is the negative predictive. There are negative predictive values are above 95%, which is at par with the Western counterparts at almost one-fifth the cost. And you know, I'm also very happy to share that in India, the niche oncologist community has shown very good acceptance to the test. In fact, in last year, in the practical consensus recommendations, which was shared by this, consortium of oncopathologists, Scan breast has been recognized as one of the only, prognostic tests to have validation in the Indian population, and they are part of the consensus guidelines recommending whether chemotherapy should be given or not. This is what we do. I mean, there is potential for working in cancer and to make a real difference is huge. Uh, in our lab itself, we have tested over 2,000 patients in a prospective manner, and they are reaping the benefits by being able to avoid chemotherapy. 70% of these patients.
So thank you, Dr. Savitha. I think Dr. Jyotirmayee, you have the last word in this round. So you can.
Yes. Thank you. So exactly. So as Dr. Savitha and others, everyone has developed. So we at TeraLumen has developed a deep tech device combined with artificial intelligence algorithm. So I'll just tell you what is the problem we are working on. So currently, as I said, breast cancer is the most common cancer, and oral cancer is also most common cancer among women, among men. So breast cancer, what it happens now in compared to Western countries, for example, we have detected tumor, and the tumor size is very small. So in that case, only we can remove the tumor instead of removing the entire breast. That is breast mastectomy. So Western countries, if tumor is very small, they go for breast conservation surgery or they will remove the only breast. But in India, we do not have any device. So what doctors do or patients for the safe surgery, they will remove the entire breast. So our BCS cases are significantly less compared to Western countries. So what is the advantage of BCS? So if we do remove only breast, it will give you good cosmetic outcome. At the same time, it will help you better recovery. So the problem is within India, we do not have any device who can say doctors exactly how much to cut. For example, tumor size this small, 5 mm, exactly 6 mm we have to cut. How to clarify that or how to tell that accurately 6 mm we have to remove. So in India, we do not have any device now. So what doctors do, they will remove the cancerous tissue, then they will send for frozen section analysis or histopathology assessment. So where they have to do fixing of the sample, and we need an expert pathologist who will assess the complete tumor tissue. It will take minimum 3 to 7 days of time. So the doctor tissues has been gone to the pathology department. Again, the patient has come back the next review to the doctors. They say that yes, this is safe surgery. That's negative margin. It's okay. If not, some of the tissue is still left out in the body. The patient have to go for repeat surgery or second surgery. So it will add unnecessary tension to the patients as well as cost 2 to 2.5 lakh per surgery. So both health wise and both cost wise, it will be affect the patient so much. So the doctor, since because we do not have any device available now in India, we have to go for repeat surgery. That 30,000 to 40,000 surgeries are happening in a year, which is second surgery. So we at TeraLumen, we have expertise. We are using terahertz, that is a far infrared imaging device. So it will image the cancerous tissue non-invasively, just like that. It will image like a camera, and it will say that yes, the doctors have removed accurately how much tissue has to be removed. So it's an intraoperative device. It will accurately and within 30 minutes, much more quicker. The doctors have removed the tissue in the operational environment. No need to go to the pathology lab. We do not need an expert pathologist. So combining the terahertz technology and artificial intelligence (AI), accurately the doctor can image and they can using their smartphone or in a computer. They can visualize yes, this is the cancerous part which has been removed. The margins or the boundary is clear, and they can left the patients. So in that case, the patients no need to come back again for a second surgery or repeat surgery. The doctors can confidently do the surgery. That is one thing is confidence. Second thing is the time. So once the tissue has been removed, the doctors and patients will be under anesthesia for maybe half an hour to 1 hour right now. They have to wait for the frozen section analysis results will come back, and they will check, yeah, margin is clear, all the tissue has been removed, then the patients will go. So it's a time consuming process, and the patients, again, as I said, they will go for repeat surgery. So in order to reduce that, help the doctors, oncosurgeons to have a safe surgery, and they will know accurately how much to cut So we have developed a device which will based out Terra's technology and artificial intelligence algorithm. So our AI data will tell that yes, the margin is clear. Within 1 margin is exactly the tissue has been removed. So it will reduce the time for both the doctors and patients. It's a compact device, and we are trying to reduce the cost significantly down. Now it's a little bit it is expensive. We are working on to reduce the cost, and it will be affordable and working on the accuracy. So this is what we are now. Thank
So
you.
yeah, thank you all. I mean, it's quite fascinating. I'm really happy to hear your solutions, and I'm sure these are going to become really big tomorrow and save a lot of lives. I mean, I learned so much today: computational pathology, novel biomarkers and therapies, novel AI-based algorithm, conserving surgery, or BCS solutions. So I found all that quite fascinating, and I'm sure you'll really do well in that. Now, apart from this, another thing which I noticed from what you have been speaking, in cancer, it's like one size does not fit all. Like I had read somewhere that there are hundreds of types of cancers, but they manifest, and it's in the end, it's put into silos. So I mean, and also it's not just that. It is, like there are other complications during cancer treatment. Like what if somebody is diabetes? So you have already, all of you have touched this on the surface, but I'd like to ask, can tech make a personalized treatment regimen to deal with such situations? So,
Uh, can I take the
Savitha?
okay,
question?
fine. Dr. Savitha, you can go
Yeah.
first.
Uh, so I think when dealing with added complications, specifically you mentioned diabetes, I think I see that these two technologies will contribute significantly. One is point of care testing, whether it's glucometers or other smart devices, especially wearable technology or even implantables, which actually allow us to do continuous glucose monitoring. These will be valuable tool for appropriate and timely treatment. Also, diabetic patients or patients who are receiving chemotherapy, they always are at risk of infection. Infection is a That's also one of the big killers in cancer treatment. Treatment kills the patient that way. So this devices could also help us identify infections earlier. This would help care providers to remedy this life-threatening conditions and efficiently treat them and to improve the clinical outcomes. I think what I'd like to say, the traditional modalities of cancer treatment, they have their own limitations. They may not be effective always. They are expensive. They do cause patients to suffer with a lot of side effects. Technology, especially newer treatments, they have helped, uh, bring options and solutions with much less complications, like immunotherapy, where you use patient's own immune system to fight cancer, which are more specific and again much less complications. Also, like Sunil mentioned, customization, that is one size fits all, definitely does not work in cancer. I think customization with newer treatments like immunotherapy, monoclonal antibodies, cytokines, there are vaccines, and even CAR cell therapies. All these, they are taking cancer therapy away from the one size fits all towards precision and personalized medicine. This will benefit patients and hospitals both hugely. I think these specialized treatments are all very technology driven, and whether it is measurement and manipulation of key patient genetic or omics data, the proteomics or all this transcriptomics, all these areas, I think these are very technology driven areas, and they would give us much better treatment options in the future. And I think another one area which is attracted a lot of attention is the companion diagnostics and targeted therapies. This is the next big thing in oncology. Almost, I think, every year we are seeing more and more targeted therapies coming in. I think this companion assays, they help us measure proteins, genes, or sometimes the mutations, which allow us to use some specific, more efficacious treatment to be given. Leading example of this would be, Hertonu with Herceptin. And here I'd like to say that, we at OncoStem, because Canasis works on, again, biomarkers, we also are, very happy to explore the potential of, using targeted therapies. So I think this is what I have to say on this.
Ashwin, you want to go next?
Sure. You hit the nail exactly because, like I said, two people having the same type of cancer, same stage of cancer, will be needing solutions worlds apart. Like I said, it's a very, very personal genetic disorder. When we look at some of the communications from our community to us, we see the prevalence, the correlation between cancer and diabetes to be very, very high. Through our Curia app, which is currently in the hands of more than 650,000 individuals, patients, caregivers, and curious audience, with more of like half of them, 3 lakh people in India, to be honest. And they speak of things related to diabetes more often than any other, disorder along with cancer. I was checking this. One third of the patients actually are affected by diabetes during their cancer treatment or after cancer treatment. And diabetes is a killer. The real killer is, I wouldn't say the cancer, but diabetes kind of like amplifies the whole problem we are looking at. So it goes to 40% higher mortality rate when it comes to having diabetes along with cancer. These are deadly statistics. My wife, who is a anesthesia a doctor in anesthesia, Dr. Neha Jadhav, tells me the complications of diabetes and during a surgery, why it becomes even more risky for a person with diabetes to undergo such complex, surgery, including, say, uh, chemotherapy or any radiation therapy or even the surgical uh, oncology, the domain of surgical oncology per se. So that makes things even worse. What can happen, to be honest, is a treatment regimen, a care plan, not just preventive. Now, after the onset, a mandate where the doctor, the patient work together. Of course, there is technology and tracking and monitoring. Today, with our devices, this is made easy to prepare a more holistic kind of case summary for a doctor. That's where nutrition comes into play. That's where a diet. That's where a physician can give a better diagnosis. A care planning is needed, and that involves, well, you got a phone today with, I don't know, hundreds of sensors, and this is not just the beginning. There are devices in our hands. There are devices and sensors in our refrigerator, smart homes, and even places where you analyze intestinal flora. And these together, more than 200 or 300 sensors together, bring in this data along with the diagnosis, along with the reports. This is the way ahead because it's personal, because it's super personal. And when you're talking about a cure, a remedy, uh, of course, it's one drug to uh, fill in the gap is, I think, impossible. I would rather believe that there would be a custom mRNA based therapy or even, say, CAR T cell therapy, which is immunotherapy related stuff, where the body itself uh, works against this cancer. We have seen this happening in COVID. I really have high hopes of these kind of precision medicine to be the way forward in cancer treatment. That's where the tech is headed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Adarsh, you want to go next?
Yeah. No, I think you were right, Sunil. So when you said that looks like different cancers need different kind of things, right? Because one thing we need to understand uh, in general is that cancer is not one disease, right? It's actually a collection of diseases, collection of conditions, all bracketed under the name of cancers, which have certain similar characteristics in terms of what they do to the body, right? So therefore, uh, cancers of different target organs within the body, they're all different, right? So therefore, there is no one shoe fits all. And seconding what Ashwin and Savitha had mentioned, that all all of us are different. So genetically, we're different, and therefore, the way we are going to look at these treatment options for specific target organs are also have to be different, right? But Unfortunately, the way our medical system to get as of now is configured is that we use averages to kind of determine treatment options for the population at large, right? And this would it is always not going to be personalized or precision medicine as such. But the heartening factor is that there is a realization that will approach will not work, and therefore, the shift towards personalizing medicine and precision medicine has already started, right? And therefore, we talk about specifically using techniques which alter, even to the extent of altering genes, are already underway, and experiments are going on in animal models and even in limited manners to kind of determine how do you exactly alter the genetics of a living being to ensure that that particular cancer is addressed well. So this is all two ends of the spectrum, and we're using like a bazooka to for everything, all the way to specifically using a very specific, weapon against that particular cancer. I think that that's a journey that we've started on. Have we reached there? No, but the good factor is we all know, we all realize, because we are in the cancer ecosystem, that that's a journey that much of the ecosystem has started on, and all of us are in one way or the other doing things in that direction. So that's something that we will see going forward more and more.
Thank you, Adarsh. So over to you, Dr. Jyotirmayee.
Yeah, so exactly, they have covered almost everything, starting from point of care device to personalization to targeted therapy. Dr. Savitha and Ashwin, every others have covered almost everything. I'll just touch upon one point, like for example, they do surgery. So that is again there is a wound. I see like in general, the wound healing with capacity is much more compared to a normal person. The diabetic patients will take so much time for wound healing. If no one has covered, I'll cover that. So if you can have a device which can analyze the wound, what bacteria is present, what antibiotic we should give, or what is the time it will take to recover. There is one device, Diagnostics at Chennai. So they have developed one wound healing device based on fluorescence and AI. They do the wound analysis and they'll say what antibiotic or what medicines will give, how much time it should take. So similarly for cancer surgery patients. So when we do the surgery, there will be a wound. That wound, how much time it will take to heal. It is not only pain to the patients, but the time, the prolonged period of time, and the targeted medicine what we should provide to them. So we think we need such devices which will help the patients to much more recovery early. On top of that, yes, we need point of care solutions, personalized treatment to the patients, and depending on the targeted therapy medicines. So these are the few things we can work upon them. Again, it is like very specific to the person, the genetic background, the level of diabetic they have, the glucose level which they have, depending on then the chemotherapy or the steroids. Accordingly, we have to work upon them. Is AI plays a bigger role here. Exactly what steroids should work on, or what chemotherapy level or the radiation therapy, how much we should give to them. It depends on the specific person to person. So there is a bigger scope to work on that area again.
So thank you. I mean, the last 1 hour, I think we've covered almost everything. The pandemic, the problems, the solutions. So I was going to ask a question about India's roadmap, but I think maybe we have a little time. So if all of you can answer in 1 or 2 minutes about either India's roadmap for the fight against cancer, or maybe one big idea or one big tech you think that's going to change. So either of this, you can give your parting shots. So.
Non-invasive deep tech plus AI from me.
Okay, great. Okay.
Add point of care diagnostics to it.
Point
I
of
think
care diagnosis.
Okay.
I think I would say precision oncology, and I think AI is a big thing in that precision
Right.
oncology. I think
Right.
applications of AI is like cancer diagnosis. I think 80% of approved AI devices are in cancer diagnostics. That itself shows the way that cancer diagnosis, whether it's treatment, everything, I think AI will play a big role. Oncology itself, I think the most promising expectation that I have from AI is at some level that we'll be able to integrate all this, different omics and get a integrated better solution for the patient. That is what it would be my expectation, more holistic treatment for the patient. So
Yes.
that, and of
Technical
course, I
suggestion
think
and the data analysis, like we should have the data. Exactly.
I believe young entrepreneurs like you all and all the stakeholders today would foresee very soon an ecosystem based on trustless a decentralized ecosystem is soon coming up where stakeholders across the globe, including the government organizations and insurers and regulators, coming at one place, keeping the patient at the heart of the solution. This I can foresee very soon. Something like a currency maybe might not fit the bill of putting a value to this kind of precious data. That's where marketplace kind of forces will come into play, and it will very soon it will benefit the patients from all angles. That gold mine of data in the end will be ownership of patients. There will be this day coming up very soon, and maybe there will be something like a utility token there. I don't know, but blockchain will be a culminating point of all the stakeholders, entrepreneurs, patient caregivers, curious audiences. I think that kind of a healthcare solution will pave the way there. I'm looking at that kind of a future very soon.
Okay. So anyway, thanks. It was great talking to you. And someone mentioned that cancer is out of control. I'm sure with the solutions that the four of you are given, we will get it in control. So I'm really
Of
looking
course.
forward to it. Thank you so much, all of you. It was great
Thank you so much for
talking
having
to
us.
all of you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sunilji.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.